Lord Ea seems to have spent quite some time in the Pleiades, like it was a region of the sky he had a certain affinity for, especially the stars Electra and Maya, and had a great influence over a certain group of humanoid/reptilian giants, to such a degree that he managed to bring some of them over here to Earth. I have studied this connection for a while and found some relevant information on this connection, but the best source again, I have to say, has been the Pleiadians themselves. In a lecture in spring of 2012 they told their audience in a channeled session, using Barbara Marciniak as their vehicle, that they are in fact the descendants of the fallen angels, the Watchers. Their ancestors were the giants of the past who descended to earth, and as the Bible says, found the women beautiful and took them as their wives. Their offspring became the Nephilim, the giants who walked the earth in ancient days. The effect this created is the karma the Pleiadian group, channeling from the future, in our terms, are trying to resolve, because the effects of what they did have had ripple effects way into the future, even our future. Speaking of fallen angels, we know from old scriptures that they were connected with Lucifer, the light bearer, and they were rebel angels. The title Lucifer fits well into the character of Enki, who rebelled against his own people, and the Orion Queen in particular, and therefore also against Mother Goddess. He is the light bearer, because light is information, and he brought information, light, to the early humans and enlightened them. Furthermore, we could probably say that the Syrians, who followed him down here, would be the Watchers Igigi, thus the fallen angels. This is one way of looking at it, but the Syrians were not the ones who particularly came down here because they found women irresistible. There were no women here when the Syrians came, only androgynous humans. Therefore, the real Watchers are the Pleiadian group who rebelled together with Ea, Lucifer. They were the ones who found Earth women irresistible and mated with them, and later created the giants, as we shall see now. Ea, being the genetic scientist he was, wanted to expand his creation, humans, by perhaps adding an extra set of genes to our DNA. So he went to the Pleiades, more specifically a planet which orbits the blue sun Maya, and brought 200 Pleiadians back to Earth to assist him with genetic experiments and to help him teach mankind, as he did not trust the Syrians with that task. These were the 200 God's angels whom Lucifer brought down from heaven, the Orion Empire, to the third dimension of matter, the Earth. Thus, they became known as the fallen angels. This was not peculiar in any way, because the Pleiades was, and still is, a part of the Orion Empire, and Ea was the Prince of Orion. He must have had followers on many planets. Most people think that the fallen ones came down here in huge spaceships, or were just giants, with big wings, landing on Earth, all males and beautiful to envision. Then they seduced the earthly women, had sex with them, and their offspring became enormous giants. This was not the case, however. The whole Bible story about the fallen angels and the Nephilim is about genetic engineering and manipulation. The Pleiadians came here from the nano-world, just like any other evolved star race, and took human male bodies here on Earth. Thus, they did not come here as giants, although they were, and are, giants on their home planet, compared to our human stature. Yes, they found the human females irresistible, and in human bodies they had sex with them. However, that did not create giant offspring. It was just like when any two humans have sex, the offspring were human. However, behind the scenes, the Pleiadians, possibly together with some Syrian groups and Ea himself, spent a lot of time on genetic manipulation and engineering. Marciniak's group has many times confirmed their connection with Lord Ea, or Enki, as they call him. Therefore, it's possible that Ea and the Pleiadians to some degree at least, worked hand in glove. What the Pleiadians did in essence were to use human DNA. It's unclear if they used the Neanderthal or the Erectus line, or both, and mixed it with their own Pleiadian DNA. The result became another experiment, but the new human probably looked very similar to ourselves. When this new prototype was tested and had intercourse with existing humans on the planet, none of them were yet today's Homo sapiens, who did not appear until after the deluge. The offspring became giants. At first, the baby had to be taken out with a caesarean section, or the poor female would split open when the fetus grew in the womb. So a major part of the fetus development had to be done in a laboratory. However, once they were fully developed they became giants, just like the Watchers themselves, which was probably the purpose. For some reason, Ea and the Pleiadians wanted bodies similar to the ones the Pleiadians inhabited in the Maya solar system in the Pleiades. According to Anton Parks, the planet which revolves around Maya, which would be relevant to this story, is a giant planet called Dubhe, often mentioned in the Sumerian texts. Marciniak's Pleiadians also stress that the Watchers mainly came from Maya, and some from Electra, and later on created the Mayan culture in today's Mexico. Some people, understandably so, don't believe that the Pleiades can have planets around them that are inhabited, because the star cluster is too young. In scientific terms, most stars in the Pleiades are only 75 to 150 million years old. Unfortunately, mainstream scientists in today's world measure time based on how we do it here on Earth, in a linear fashion. Stars don't die. First of all, they transform into another type of consciousness, and they can't be measured, time-wise, like scientists do. Another thing they don't understand is that when they are talking about civilizations not having time to develop around stars that young and hot because these stars don't stay stable as long as our sun, they forget one important thing. Who says that civilizations are developing on all planets which have life on them? Why can't star races from other star systems, apart from a particular one we discuss, colonize these planets any time in their development, or seed them, or transport them there from elsewhere if they have the technology? And what time frame are the scientists talking about? All time is simultaneous, so each planet can be inhabited in its past, present, and future at the same time. It is plausible that the Pleiadians with time found another way around having to use their laboratories to host fetuses of the Nephilim. A solution would be to manipulate the DNA of the fetus so that it grew much slower, resulting in that the baby could be born the size of a normal human baby. Once born, the baby started growing in a much faster speed than human babies and children, and once fully grown, they could grow to become 7 to 35 feet tall. The Pleiadians mentioned some of them were up to 300 feet tall, which is roughly 91 meters. It is uncertain if these enormous giants were discontinued or not, but they must have had a hard time surviving in Earth gravity.